We head to campus for some notable Week 12 action, taking a look at these games by the numbers. Here's an important number, 1, as in 1 loss for both Ohio State and Michigan State. The two going to meet at the Shoe, where Ohio State is positioned as a 19-point favorite in a game dripping with college football playoff implications. You're also going to get Iowa State and Oklahoma. Oklahoma laying 4, coming off that disappointing loss to Baylor that all but ended their playoff hopes. Arkansas going to try and clip Alabama, take them out of the top 4. We shall see. Vegas thinks not happening. 20.5 the Tide are laying. As for Cincinnati, their hopes still alive at 10-0. Laying 11.5 against SMU. Oregon and Utah going to round things out with the Utes laying 3 to number 3. Let's get our guy in the mix, the 2-time Super Bowl champ and host of the All Things Covered podcast, Bryant McFadden. B-Mac, top billing here in Week 12 goes to the Big Ten, where number 4 Ohio State will look to build their resume once again against number 7 Michigan State. Buckeyes laying 19. That's a big number, B-Mac, but take into account that since losing to Oregon, 6 of Ohio State's 8 wins have come by 21 points or more. What's the money move in this one?
Has to be Ohio State. I mean, their offense is firing right now. CJ has been balling, been very, very efficient with the football. Most importantly, they're healthy at the wide receiver unit. I mean, having Olave, Wilson, Smith, all these guys make it easy for CJ Stroud. So the play for me is taking Ohio State. The Buckeyes are 4-1 ATS when favored by at least 19 points or more. They cover when they're given a lot of points. You look at what they have offensively, the 6th ranked passing attack from Ohio State playing against the 130th ranked secondary. Basically, Michigan State secondary has been the Achilles heel for their defense the entire season. We saw what they gave up against Purdue, and look out. Ohio State is Purdue on steroids. They're a much efficient, more explosive offense, and they've been able to do so over the last 5 games, to say the least, scoring at least 50 points. Out of the last 5 out of the 7 games they've been on the football field. So me personally, seeing how hot they've been, I got to take Ohio State laying 19. Yeah,
the Buckeyes trending in the right direction. They know they got to take care of business here heading down the stretch. You talk about their quarterback, that trio of receivers. The big critique early on in the season was they just couldn't find that hookup. They couldn't build any momentum, and momentum is on their side as they head down the stretch here. Elsewhere, number 2 Alabama playing with little to no wiggle room as well since that loss against A&M. But it seems to have brought out the best in them here. The Tide staring down 20.5 against number 21 Arkansas, who, to be fair, have played their competition to that level, outside of a no-show against Georgia, that is. But all things considered, B-Mac, 20.5. The Tide, they've seen much bigger numbers. Pretty reasonable when we're talking Tide. You buying?
Yeah, I'm buying. They broke my back last week against New Mexico State, laying 51.5, and they covered that basically in the 3rd quarter. I still feel some type of way, but it is what it is. But when you look at their big 3, Joe, Bryce Young, Brian Robinson, and Jameson Williams, one of the more explosive wide receivers in college football, they can score very, very fast. They can do it running the football, or they can do it throwing the football. And that has been an issue for Arkansas, especially playing against teams that provide a balanced-like attack. And I think Brian Robinson will have a huge day as well. When you transition to Arkansas, I mean, KJ Jefferson, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the SEC. I love how he throws the football, but I love his ability to run. But one thing about him and his offense, they struggle sometimes on the road. We saw a very, very ugly, low-scoring game last week against LSU. Oh, by the way, they were able to win that ball game, but the defense they're going against is a high-level defense. They're allowing around 18 points. That is Alabama's defense, especially at home with the crowd behind them, one of the best pass rushers in college football as well. They will make things difficult for KJ and his offense. Give me the Tide laying 20 points, 20.5.
We're talking experience at this point in the season, B-Mac, and nobody has more than Coach Nick Saban and those teams that he's rolled out there. The underclassmen turned to upperclassmen. They kind of pass the baton on to the youth and say, when November rolls around, it's when the rubber meets the road. You got to expect Alabama to bring their best here over the next month. Interesting numbers attached to this next Pac-12 meeting. Number 3, Oregon, getting 3 on the road against Utah. Totals coming in at 59. What do those numbers tell you about what we can expect here on Saturday?
Ace, close game. It might not be as entertaining, but it's going to be a defensive-like game, in my opinion. This is about Anthony Brown, the quarterback for Oregon, going against Cameron Rising, the quarterback from Utah. Rising has been playing pretty good football. Anthony has been a little inconsistent as of late, but one thing I can say, that ball game last week against Washington State, they jumped out, allowed Washington State to get back in the flow of things. They had to run the football. That opened up another element to their offense. Rushed for over 300 yards on the ground. The Utes, quietly, they've been a real balanced team as well, but something is up with this line. I do believe it's going to be a close ball game, and in close ball games, Joe, give me the team that's getting points. Not to mention, when you look at the betting trend, the Utes are 2-5 ATS when favored by 3 or more points. Last time I checked, they're giving the Ducks 3 points. The underdog in this matchup, in the last 5 meetings, the underdog is 4-1 ATS in the last 5 meetings. The last time I checked, the Ducks, they're the underdog as well. So when you factor in the balance that I think I will see from Oregon, along with the betting trends I just gave you guys, give me the Ducks. Quack, quack, quack.
I'm quacking right there with you, B-Mac. Still trying to wrap my head around that number, but if you're giving number 3 points, I'm taking them and saying thank you later. Following the most recent release, again, looks like Cincinnati just doesn't have enough out in front of them to get into the top 4, at least under their own accord. Style points really mattering at this point, and they're going to need some help beyond that. They're laying 11.5 to SMU, but got to be thinking blowout to send a message here to the committee. How much do you factor in their fringe standing into your play on this one?
I factor that in, but at the end of the day, they just got to win the ball game. They got to do it. They got to take care of their business. One time I saw the line at 12, 12.5. Now you just hit on it. It's 11.5. We've seen some line movement so far, and the game is still some days away. But most importantly for Cincinnati, they're playing at home. I love that. I love that. I don't really respect either defense, especially when it comes to putting pressure on the quarterback. But if you're telling me you're not going to be able to put pressure on SMU's quarterback, give me the team that has guys in the secondary that will play on Sunday. Then when you factor SMU on the road, they've been horrible when it comes to covering the spread. SMU, they're 3-11 ATS in their last 14 games on the road. They're 1-4 ATS in their last 5 games as an underdog. So when they're an underdog and when they're on the road, Joe, they do not cover. So hearing that and knowing that and reading that and also seeing what I've been watching from Cincinnati, granted over the last few weeks, Cincinnati, they haven't really been covering like they were doing earlier in the year. It's time to put their foot on the gas and go fast and score points. They can't play around with SMU. It's imperative for them to start fast, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of bettors take the first half line with Cincinnati because, like I said, the sense of urgency has to be there in the beginning of the ball game to be able to ride that wave for 4 quarters. They got to start fast, and they will start fast, but give me Cincinnati laying 11.5.
It's a beautiful thing. He does the homework. You take the test. We all go home winners. Bryant McFadden breaking down Week 12 in the college ranks. Thank you, B-Mac. All right, let's take a look at those picks once again from the 2-time Super Bowl champ. Michigan State, Ohio State. Taking Ohio State covering that 19 at home. The offense right now humming. The defense knows what's out in front of them. He expects them to get the job done in a big way against the conference foe. Arkansas, Alabama, meanwhile, 20.5. Not scaring B-Mac away from Bama, nor should it, if you're asking me. Oregon and Utah, meanwhile, take those 3 points. Number 3 on the road, a dog. Some betting trends there lead you towards the Ducks quacking away with another win. SMU, Cincinnati. Cincy laying the 11.5 with their back against the wall. Got to get it done and got to make it look good. Speaking of looking good, nobody looks better. Bryant McFadden, Patrick Peterson sitting down with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment for can't-miss conversations each and every week. You down with ATC? Yeah, you know me. Download, subscribe, and enjoy.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.